Okay, so welcome to these classes. In this channel, I will be showing you programming techniques on how you can use programming techniques to solve different programming assignments. So in this class, I will start with demonstrating the ropes in programming, and especially in a C++ program. And let's start by looking at what is a loop. So a loop is just a piece of code or a set of instructions that you want them to repeat several times. So you put a condition and you say that this line or this set of lines should repeat themselves until this condition is met. And one of the greatest importance of loops in programming is that it saves times and it helps us to manage our codes. So we have different type of loops, like the for loop, the while loop, and the do while loop. In this session, I will start with for loop. I will show you the syntax and how you can implement them on the compiler or the IDE which we are using. So this is a for loop, and this is a syntax. So we have the word for right here, and then we have a bracket. Within these brackets, we have three parts. The first part is initialization, right here. We separate it with a semicolon, and we also have another part which is a condition, and we separate it with a semicolon again, and the last part is update. After that, we have this brackets, which is a curly brackets. We open it and close it somewhere here. And then within these brackets, we have statement or statements. So the statements within these colored brackets are the one which we want them to repeat several times until the condition we put here is met. So now let's go directly to our code block, the IDE we are using, and let's see how we can perform these for loops. So I will go directly to file, and then on the file, I will go directly to a new project. And then we have different kind of projects right here, but I will open the console application, and the language we are using is a C++. And then I will need to specify the project title. So let me say for loop, for example. That's the title for our project. And here is a folder where we are creating our projects. It means a directory. So I'm on the desktop on the folder called CPP. And this is a title. Right here is a resulting file name. Then I will say next. So we are using a GNU GCC compiler to run this project. So if you have a good reason to change this, you can change and use another compilers. So I will say finish. And then right here, you will see that our project is already created here. It's a for loop. And on the sources, we have our main CPP. So I will click continue. So now you find that this is it's a default C++ program, Hello World program. Now before continuing, I will test this just to do it run. Yes, it is running. It was just to confirm if our compiler works perfect. So you see it worked perfect, and we have our results here. So right now, what I want is I will delete this line here, and then I will put our loop. So remember that our loop has the following syntax. We have for, we have initialization, we have condition, we have update, and we have our statements that we want them to repeat right here. So going back to our program, I will start by typing for, and then I'll put in brackets. And then within for, we have the first part separated with a semicolon, the second part separated with a semicolon. So on the first part where we have to initialize, so I will initialize a certain variable. So this variable will be a counting variable, will be counting the iterations. So I will call it integer. So I'll say, let's say int I, see? And then on the condition, let's take an example. Let's take an example. I wanted to print a message, welcome to C++ programming, 10 times. I want to print that message 10 times. So on the initialization, I will say int I, let's say we initialize it to 1, int I is equal to 1. And then on the condition, I will say I should be less than or equal to 10, see? And then next, I will say I is equal to I plus 1. So as we saw on the syntax, this is the initialization. I initialize my variable. Now this variable I will be counting. Like this is the first iteration. This is the second iteration. Third one up to the last iteration. In this case, is we want to go 10 times. So I will say I is equal to 1. It's a starting variable. And I will say I should be less than or equal to 10. Then I say take the value of I, add 1, and then save it to I. It means we update from I is equal to 1 to I is equal to 2. When I is equal to 2, I will update again to I is equal to 3. So that's how we do. And then I will click here, enter. It will allow me to proceed with the next lines. So you see, this is the syntax. So we have to open a brackets and we have to close it somewhere. So I will open here bracket, like this brackets, and then I will say, let's say on the statements, I will write only one statement, like cout, and then I will print here cout, and then I will write here welcome to C++ programming, like this, and then I'll end my line here, and then we say semicolon. So you see, this is a for loop. And then within this for loop, we have the first part, which shows 3 parts of the core of the loop, which is initialization, condition, and update. And within the main body of the loop, we have this one statement where we want to print this statement 10 times. So when I is equal to 1, so it will test is I less than 10. Yes, it will be updated to true, but it will print the message, welcome to C++ programming. It will ask again, is 2 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it will print a message and update it to 3. So let's see, let's try to learn this piece of code and see what is happening. I will build a line right here. Yeah, so you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it has printed this same message 10 times. And what is happening, as I've said, initially it will assign the value of I, the value of 1 to I. So I will be having a 1 as its value. So then it will ask, is 1 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it will print a message. It will update I by adding 1, so I will be equal to 2. And then it will ask again, is 2 less than or equal to 10? Yes, it will print a message and it will update it to 3. Is 3 less than or equal to 10? Yes, print a message, update it to 4. So the same up to 9. Is 9 less than or equal to 10? Yes, print a message, update it to 10. Is 10 less than or equal to 10? Yes, print a message and update it to 11. Is 11 less than or equal to 10? No. Now, because this condition is not satisfied, this loop will stop, and then it will go to the next line, which is return 0 and terminate our program. So that's how a for loop works. So if you learn this, print 10 times. But what if we want to print 100 times? It means we add a 0 here, 0 here. So if you learn this, it will print this message 100 times. So I don't want to waste my time counting this, but I'm sure it will be 100 times. If I want to print 1,000 times, so I will add another 0 here. and then I will say run this program. So to print this message, you see 1,000 times. So I cannot count it, but I'm sure that's how it works. So now that was a first example to see how we can instruct the program to repeat certain piece of codes. And the piece of code here, which was repeating itself, was this line. So you see, this is how a loop helps us to simplify some words. Instead of printing the same message 10 times, we write here print only once, but we automate it to repeat itself a certain number of times that we want. Yeah, that's all for the first example. Now, the second example, assume our task now is to write a C++ program that will print all even numbers between 0 and 100. You see, let's assume we have this task to write a C++ program that will print all even numbers between 0 and 100. So you want to print even numbers. We know it is 0. Ideally, it is 0, then 2, then 4, then 6, then 8, then 10, and so on. So you see, these numbers have a certain common property that to get the next term from 0, you add 2. Get the next term, you add 2 again. You add 2, you add 2, and the same procedure. Okay, so let's go back to our code block and let's see where we can modify this for loop. So now, as we said, the loop has 3 parts: the initialization, the condition, and the update. So you see, as a condition is that all even numbers between 0 and 100. So we initialize it at 0 and we stop it at 100. But to go from one term to another term, we jump by 2. So this means on the initialization, we say I should be equal to 0. And then I should be less than or equal to 100 again. But here we will say I is equal to I plus 2. You see, when you start 0, with the next term you add 2, you get 2. So 2, the next term you add 2, you get 4. 4, the next term you add 2, you get 6. The same up to 100. Okay, so that's well, but here now, because we are not printing this sentence here. Our task now is to print all even numbers. So if we want to print all even numbers, it means we will say out the even number, but now the even number is contained in I. So I for the first time is 0, but I for the second time, the second iteration is 2. The third iteration we add it, we get 4. The third iteration we add it, we get 6. That means our even numbers are stored in I. So I will say out I and then put a semicolon like this. Yeah, so let's try to learn this program and let's see what we have. So if I learn this, yeah, this is what will happen. So I have out 0, 2, but I'm not interested with the way it prints it. So I will try to add here end line. Yeah, like this. And then let me print run again. Yeah, so I have they are mentioned in a column. So I have 0, I have 2, I have 4, I have 6, I have 8, 10, all the way to 100. So that's how I can print even numbers using a loop. And now see what's interesting. If I want to print all even numbers between 0 and 1000, for example, I don't need to write the whole code again. I will modify it by adding 0 right here. So now our code, our loop will start as the initialization I is equal to 0. And then to modify this loop, we'll add it true. So we'll have I is equal to 0. The next iteration, I will be equal to true. The third iteration, I will be equal to 4. The next iteration, I will be equal to 6, because what's happening is that we are updating this I by adding 2. And then after observing these values of I, we print I right here. So if I want to run this one like this, so this time it has printed all even numbers between 0 and 1000 inclusively. So it's between 0 and 1000 inclusively. Okay, so that was the second example. Now let's try to modify a bit, because here we are just printing all even numbers between 0 and 100 or 1000, for example. So assume maybe we want to do a little bit a different thing. For example, we want to add these even numbers between 0 and 100 inclusively. So if we want to add these numbers, what we do is that we declare another variable here. For example, let me say int sum, and let me initialize it to 0. So int sum is equal to 0. And now, instead of printing these even numbers here, I will not print them. Instead, I will say sum is equal to sum plus I. Yeah. So what's happening here is that I initialize another variable here, which is sum, and I put it to be having 0. So right now, sum has 0. But later on, I say update the sum by adding I. Update the sum by adding I. So in the first iteration, I is equal to 0 and sum is equal to 0. So it will be sum, which is 0 plus 0, it is 0. And then I will update I to true. It means I will add it true. So now I is equal to 2. So is 2 less than or equal to 100? Yes. Then add it or store it in sum. So sum at this time it has 0 plus 2, it will be 2. And then I update again this I to 4. So it will ask, is 4 less than or equal to 100? Yes. Add it or store it in the sum. So previous sum was 2. I add 4, it will be 6. And then I will update this to 6. Is 6 less than or equal to 100? Yes. Add it to sum. So sum was 6 plus this 6, it will be 12. So it will repeat the same procedure until when this condition is false. So the only way for the condition to be false when I is equal to 100. So is I, which is 100 less than or equal to 100? Yes, it will add on the sum, and then it will update it by 2. It will be 102. So is 102 less than or equal to 100? So no. If it is no, then it will stop the loop and then go out of the loop. So if it goes out of the loop, here, definitely I want to print the sum. So I would say the sum of all even numbers between 0 and 100 inclusively is, yeah. So if I say this and run the program, this is what will happen. It will print a message, the sum of all even numbers between 0 and 100 inclusively is 2550. Yeah. So that's how you can use a for loop. So we, as I've said, as a recap, we have this one as a loop. And within the for loop, we have the first line, which has three parts: the initialization and the condition, and we also have the update. And this is the main body of the loop, where this statement will be repeating this itself until this condition here is false. And out of the loop, I just print the result that this is a sum. If you want this line to also be repeating, it means you copy this and paste it here, right here. So if I run this one, this is what will happen. It will be printing, at each time it will be printing the same message, but it changes on the value of sum. So the sum of even numbers between 0 and 100 is 0, then 2, then 6, then 12, then 30. Now this will change because it is updating the value of I. So the sum will be changing on each iteration. But the final answer will be the same, right? Right here, the final answer will be the same. But because I'm not interested in this iteration, the sum for each iteration, I could probably just print the last answer. Right here, just cut this line and to paste it right here. So if I do this, this is what will happen. Yeah. So it will print only the final answer. Okay, so that's all for the for loop. I will stop here and please stay alerted. The next video, I'm going to show you the while loop, and the next video again, I will show you the do while loop, and also demonstrate the differences between the do while loop and the while loop. Okay, thank you.